Minds crying out for help. Breaking the silence. Healing the hurt. Part 1. The Silent Epidemic. Understanding the crisis beneath the surface. Chapter 1. A world too loud, a mind too quiet. Why do we feel unheard in a world full of noise? She answered the door in her dressing gown, even though it was 2 in the afternoon. The delivery driver handed over a package she didn't remember ordering. She thanked him with a practiced smile, closed the door, and leaned against it, not out of exhaustion, but because she no longer knew where to go next.
The house was clean. Her inbox was cleared.
Her voice messages were all marked "read," even if she hadn't actually listened to them.
But inside, there was a silence so heavy she thought it might smother her. The world outside was buzzing. Cars, headlines, WhatsApp groups, podcast episodes, calendar alerts.
It was all too loud.
But in her mind,
Nothing.
not even a whisper. The noise that isn't connection. We are drowning in notifications but starving for connection.
Surrounded by words but rarely heard. The modern world has weaponized volume, filling every second with content, commentary, clamor. But mental pain does not compete well with noise. It does not scream. It hides.
It mutters under breath. It withdraws into the corners of the mind like a wounded animal waiting to die quietly.
While the world rewards the loudest voices, millions suffer in hushed private collapse. And so the paradox grows. In the most hyper-connected age in history, isolation is the new epidemic.
What quiet really means, quiet isn't peace when it comes from shutdown.
When someone stops replying, when they cancel plans with vague excuses, when they sleep too much or not at all, this is not laziness or flakiness. This is often a silent scream. A brain overloaded to the point of power down. A body trying to preserve energy in the only way it knows how: retreat.
The quiet mind may look calm from the outside. It is anything but.
It may be filled with spiraling thoughts, intrusive memories, unrelenting self-blame, or simply nothing at all, an emotional flatline mistaken for fine. Let's be clear, numbness is not health.
Silence is not recovery.
Withdrawal is not safety. It is often the final mask worn before the breaking point.
Why aren't we listening?
Because we are all too busy being busy. We are conditioned to prioritize output over insight.
To scroll rather than speak.
To schedule meetings about performance but avoid conversations about pain.
The myth that everyone is fine is both contagious and convenient until it collapses.
We also don't know what to do when someone admits they're not okay.
So we retreat.
Or worse, we give platitudes like, "just think positive," or "try yoga," or "other people have it worse." What we fail to recognize is this: pain doesn't respond to logic. It responds to presence. The root of the quiet crisis. So why do we feel unheard in a world full of words?
Because most noise is transactional.
Not relational. We hear each other's words, but we don't listen to each other's hearts. The soul speaks a different language: tone, presence, eye contact, safety. Mental health crises often begin when a person feels they have no space left where their inner world can be expressed without fear of rejection, judgment, or minimization.
What they need is not a fix. What they need is to feel felt.
Rescue tool. Practice the pause. If you want to start listening better, to others or to yourself, begin here: the pause. Take 60 seconds today where you do absolutely nothing except observe your internal state. Ask gently, what am I feeling right now, physically, emotionally, spiritually? What am I pretending not to feel? This is not analysis. This is awareness. It is not weakness. It is wisdom. The more often you pause, the more fluent you become in the language of your own emotional world.
Only then can you hear the cries of others.
Rescue reminder. Not all cries are loud. The media often portrays mental health breakdowns as dramatic events: shouting, crying, violence, hospitalization. While that can be true, many breakdowns are quiet.
Invisible. They happen in bedrooms, at desks, on walks through the park.
Sometimes the only clue is that someone starts saying, "I'm tired," a lot. Or they stop laughing at the things they used to love. Or their voice gets flatter. Or they withdraw from one WhatsApp group, then another.
These are not mood swings. These are signals. If you're the one noticing them in someone else, don't wait for them to spell it out. Most people don't have the words, but you can offer yours. You don't have to say much. Try. You've been on my mind lately. How are you really? I don't need you to pretend with me. I'm here. And if you're the one fading, this book is your signal flare. You are not invisible here. Hope practice. The quiet list. Try this journaling prompt tonight. What are the quiet things I've stopped saying out loud? Make a list. You don't need to read it to anyone. You just need to see it. When pain is put into language, it loses some of its grip. You might write, I feel alone in a crowded house. I don't remember what it feels like to be excited. I'm scared I'm disappearing, and no one notices. These are not confessions of weakness. These are declarations of courage. And they are the first step toward healing. Final reflection: if the mind is crying out for help, but the world is too loud to hear it, then we must become quieter, braver listeners. Every day, someone chooses silence because they believe their pain is too much for others to carry. Let's prove them wrong. Let's carry it with them. Let's begin here. Chapter 2: Smiling while dying inside. What does it mean to be high-functioning and suicidal? He made everyone laugh at the dinner party. Told the story about the time he got lost in Tokyo and accidentally walked into a wedding in flip-flops. He passed the wine, topped up glasses, cleared the table. Later that night, he Googled painless ways to die. His browser history was wiped clean by morning. The next day, he sent a Slack message at 6:13 a.m. with 3 smiley face emojis and a project update. Everyone called him a machine. Reliable. Hilarious. A team player. And in a way, he was. A machine. Performing. Producing. Pretending. Until the silence of his own soul became unbearable. What we don't see. The most dangerous myth about suicidal thoughts is that they only happen to visibly broken people. That the warning signs are always dramatic. That if someone is smiling, successful, getting things done, they must be okay. But one of the most insidious forms of suffering is high-functioning despair, the kind that wears a perfect mask. These are the people who show up early and stay late. Remember birthdays. Keep the family running. Post filtered holiday photos. Say I'm just tired when asked. They are often the last ones anyone would suspect. And that's exactly why they're at risk. Because no one asks how they're really doing. And even if someone did, they wouldn't know how to answer. What is high-functioning suicidality? It's not a clinical term, but it is a real and alarmingly common experience. High-functioning suicidality refers to people who appear outwardly fine or even thriving, meet responsibilities, hide their pain exceptionally well, yet privately experience persistent thoughts of death, hopelessness, or escape. They may not have a clear plan, but they fantasize about not waking up, about disappearing, about relief. Sometimes it's passive. What if I got in a car accident? Would that be easier? Sometimes it's active. I've researched the dosage. I know the window. I just haven't picked the day. And in between these thoughts, they make jokes. Bake cookies. Answer emails. Raise kids. Win awards. This is not contradiction. It's camouflage. Why they hide it? Because they don't want to burden others. They're often the caretakers, the strong ones, the go-to friends. They believe everyone leans on them, and if they fall, everything collapses. 2, because they fear judgment. They're afraid they'll be told they're selfish, weak, attention-seeking, dramatic. So they go silent. 3, because the pain feels abstract. There's often no single event they can point to. No trauma that justifies how bad they feel. So they tell themselves they don't have the right to be this sad. Because they still function. And in a society that equates productivity with health, if you're still working, you must be okay. But functioning is not the same as flourishing. Survival is not the same as safety. And smiling is not the same as being alive inside. A deeper look. The invisible collapse. High-functioning individuals are often in chronic emotional debt. They've borrowed against their mental reserves for so long they no longer notice the overdraft. They dissociate from themselves. They become performance engines. And like any machine under pressure, eventually something snaps. This is why suicides can feel sudden or out of nowhere. They weren't. The person just got tired of pretending. Rescue tool, the mirror moment. If you suspect you, or someone you love, might be wearing the high-functioning mask, here's a gentle practice. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Not at your hair. Not your outfit. Your eyes. Ask one question slowly. If I didn't have to pretend today, what would I say? Then be still. Whatever rises, write it down. Speak it. Whisper it to the ceiling if that's all you can do. This small practice can be the beginning of rehumanizing yourself, of turning back toward truth, of recognizing that you are not a machine and you never were meant to be. Rescue reminder: pain doesn't disqualify you from love. If you're reading this and recognizing yourself, know this: you are not failing. You are not weak. You are not too much. You are tired. And your pain is valid even if no one sees it. Even if you're the CEO, the mother, the pastor, the doctor, the oldest sibling, the star employee, especially then. Because people like you are often the ones holding up the room while quietly collapsing inside it. For friends, family, and colleagues, if you care about someone who seems fine but something feels off, trust that feeling. Don't wait for a breakdown. Instead, try. You do so much for everyone. How are you really when it's quiet? Can I carry something with you? Emotionally, not just practically? You don't have to be the strong one with me. Often, the highest functioning people have no safe place to fall apart. Be that place. Hope practice. The check-in list tonight, write down one you want. 3 people who might be wearing the mask. One way you can reach out without making it awkward or intense. Examples. Hey, I miss hearing your real voice. Want to talk? I don't need you to be okay. I just want you to be. You don't need to fix them. You just need to reach them. Because no one ever regretted saying I see you, but many have regretted saying it too late. Final reflection. There are people smiling in public and screaming in private. They leave notes that begin with, I didn't want to make a fuss. Let us make a fuss. Let us start listening to the ones who seem the strongest. Because behind the brightest smiles often live the darkest nights. And it takes only one moment of truth to begin the journey back from the edge. Chapter 3. The Hidden Epidemic: Why Are Suicide Rates Rising Despite More Awareness? The posters are everywhere now. Subway stations, school hallways, HR portals. It's okay to not be okay. Hotlines are pinned at the top of search engines. Celebrities talk openly about depression. Instagram influencers post tearful reels about therapy, healing, and burnout. We're talking more, sharing more, advocating more. And yet, more people are dying by suicide than ever before. This is the paradox that breaks hearts and defies headlines. In a time when mental health awareness is louder than ever, the suffering has become more silent, more complex, and more deadly. Why? What are we missing? Awareness isn't accessed. A young man in his 20s once said to me during a school visit, I know mental health matters. We all say it does. But when I actually needed help, there was a 6-month waiting list. That's when I stopped asking. This is one of the root contradictions. Awareness without access breeds disillusionment. We raise slogans. We celebrate mental health days. We wear the ribbons. But behind the branding, therapy is unaffordable for many. Services are overwhelmed and underfunded. Rural areas lack support entirely. Crisis lines are understaffed or poorly trained. And most schools and workplaces don't have trauma-informed systems in place. For too many, get help is a dead end. And when awareness creates expectation, but the system delivers nothing in return, the result is emotional betrayal. The person in crisis feels lied to, twice. The algorithm of loneliness. We also live in the most digitally connected and emotionally disconnected age in human history. We scroll endlessly, hoping for dopamine, connection, recognition, and find curated perfection, performance, and comparison instead. Social media often preaches mental health while feeding mental illness. Consider this. Algorithms push content that triggers strong emotion, often outrage, insecurity, or grief. Invulnerability becomes commodified, repackaged into bite-sized inspiration. Likes replace listening. DMs replace human presence. And when someone truly breaks down, the silence in return can be deafening. So yes, awareness is up, but real connection is down. The weight of pretend wellness. There's also a new phenomenon, performative mental health. Many people now feel pressure to appear healed, to post about their self-care routines and journey in a way that's digestible for public consumption. But the pressure to be seen as doing the work becomes a new kind of prison. Healing becomes a brand. Suffering becomes embarrassing again. So people wear awareness like a badge but still die in shame. Trauma, economy, and the global pressure cooker. Let's not forget the bigger picture. Global instability, income inequality, climate anxiety, racial injustice, pandemic fallout, war zones, displacement, debt uncertainty. We are witnessing a generation inheriting emotional debt they didn't create, and being told to fix it with meditation apps and gratitude journals. We need to name the truth. Mental health is not just personal. It's systemic. And no amount of awareness can fix a world that keeps breaking people faster than it can help them heal. Rescue reminder: awareness isn't enough. We need activation. We've spent the last decade building awareness. That work mattered. But now we must go deeper. From awareness to activation. Ask yourself, am I actually present with the people I love or just aware of their struggles? Do I know what to do when someone says they want to die? Do I support mental health causes in word or in my workplace policies, family conversations, and personal behaviors? Awareness is the door. Activation is the room you walk into and change. Rescue tool, the bridge conversation. Let's move from awareness to action with this tool. The next time someone says they're just tired, or burned out, or going through something, instead of nodding and moving on, try building a bridge. Say, I've noticed something feels heavy lately. Want to talk about it beyond the surface? No pressure, but I'm here for the messy version too, not just the polished one. You don't have to walk this alone. I can help find someone if you want. This small step can prevent someone from giving up simply because they felt like a statistic, not a soul. For professionals and leaders, a new metric of success. If you're a manager, educator, or policymaker, don't let mental health become another checkbox or PR campaign. Ask, are our systems trauma-informed? Do we offer timely help, not just pamphlets? Have we trained staff on how to respond to emotional distress? Are we rewarding performance over well-being? The truth is, we are not in a mental health crisis because we lack information. We are in a crisis because we lack compassion-backed infrastructure. Hope practice, awareness to action inventory. Tonight ask yourself, 1. Who in my life might be suffering silently, even though they know I care? 2. What is one practical thing I can do to create access or safety? 3. What conversation am I avoiding because I don't want to say the wrong thing? Then pick one thing from that list and act. Because someone is waiting. Not for your perfect words, just for your presence. Final reflection, we've raised the flag. But the ground is still crumbling beneath people's feet. Suicide rates are rising not because people are blind, but because they are seen, heard, and then abandoned. This is not a failure of empathy. It's a failure of follow-through. And the good news? We can begin again. Right now. With listening. With showing up. With building a world where awareness isn't the end, but the beginning of something that actually saves lives.